Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. That should be good. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Alright, it should be good. We just pour this down. So it's that time of the year. To preface, again, Backloggd does this yearly thing. It's like this fun little event that Backloggd likes to do, where they give us 5 games for us to nominate as Game of the Year. And I've been doing these Game of the Years. For example, you know what? I'll just show you what I've done in the past, just to give you a quick rundown on what I've done since I've joined this website. They basically give you like 5 different categories, 6 technically. They give you Game of the Year, best gameplay, best narrative, best art direction, best soundtrack, and best multiplayer. And I've been doing these annually just for the hell of it. But for this one in particular, I want to record my thoughts and feelings per game, just so I can like just so I can like document them, Jesus, and just share that to the internet, I guess. So that being said, let's let's do this. Oh, this is new. Oh, I like how they integrated like the 90s internet style, like webcore. This is actually a new like design choice, because typically they don't really do something like this for the events. Wow, even like the whole layout is different. What the hell? Live pics? What is this? And then you can see your friends vote as well. This is cool. I like how the new layout looks. This is really cool. I'm kind of interested. I'm kind of curious to see how the Game of the Year, like the actual Game of the Year for 2026, is gonna look if they're integrating a more creative design choice for these sort of things. Home, friend votes. Oh, you can even maximize them. That's cool. Back. Past events. Oh yeah. Your ballot. And okay, so I guess we're gonna just go for it. I haven't played that many games from 1998, unfortunately. This guy's such a liar. This is a buddy of mine. He has never played a Zelda game though. So it's really interesting for him to categorize Ocarina of Time as best gameplay. Let's see. Let's just click one. Let's see what happens. All right. So I'm probably gonna leave Game of the Year for last. Typically, how I like to do these sort of things is that I like to have one game per category, because as you can see, some people tend to nominate one game for multiple categories. I try my best not to do that because I like to showcase different games and have like each game shine in the spotlight. Okay, so start of a gameplay actually. There's a decent amount of games I can choose from too. And to preface, so Backlog only chooses the games that you've played that you catalog as played in your in the database. But in some cases, for example, like I've played Sonic Adventure, right? But I have not played the original Sonic Adventure. I've only played Sonic Adventure DX on GameCube, which is, they're technically the same game, just with a slightly different style in models and graphics. I think I'm gonna like, even though I don't have Sonic Adventure labeled as played, I'm still gonna classify it as a game that I played for this category or for this nomination. Um, Not sure if I would choose it as gameplay though. Here's a song. I decided to go for a PS1 OST playlist because it's very fitting considering it's a 1998 Game of the Year sort of deal. Oh, this is gonna be rough, I think. There's a lot of good games here. Okay, maybe Art Direction is one I'm willing to pick first. For Art Direction, it's a toss up between Baroque and Paranoia Escape. Baroque has this Baroque specifically on the PS1 Sega Saturn iteration. Well, Sega Saturn and PS1 versions are very different from one another, I think. But the one that I played was on the PS1, and even then, like, the style for that game was still really cool. The Sega Saturn version is the PS1 version. Like, it has this pretty dark, like, gothic feel to it with a lot of biblical imagery as well, which I fucking adore personally. And like, the game itself is also really fun too. It's essentially I guess the best way to put it is like a first-person roguelike experience where you have to go into a dungeon and try your best to reach the bottom of the top of of a specific building to kill God, I believe. So yeah, this is how the gameplay looks when you're actually playing the game. Let me just mute this real quick or pause it. And like, there's two iterations of this game. There's Baroque on the PS1 slash Sega Saturn, but there's also a Baroque remake on PS2 and Wii. I've played both versions of Baroque, and I vastly prefer the style of Baroque PS1. And like, there's just something about this game, not just aesthetically, but like the enemy designs as well, which I'm trying to find. And like the labyrinths as well. I just really like how this game looks. But the other contender is Paranoia Escape, which is like this really freakishly looking pinball game. Paranoia Escape gameplay. Yeah, here it is. Right here. Like, just check this out. I I've never seen a game quite like this in the PS1 era. And honestly, like looking back on it, I think I might have to nominate it as best art direction purely because of how bizarre it is. It's definitely like a very experimental game of its time. Like we don't get games like this anymore. At least not from a AAA studio. Or that's not to say that this was made by a AAA studio necessarily, but like to find a game like this, you'll most likely find it through an indie scene or developed studio. Yeah, it's just literally just pinball with like hellscape designs, and it's fucking rad. It's just like I don't know. I just love how this game looks. I might damn it's a hard one because I do like the style of Baroque, but I definitely love. I think I lean more towards the style of Paranoia Escape. I think for now, I'm gonna give it to Paranoia Escape. That's subject to change depending on how this goes. We'll see. Um, let's do multiplayer. I don't think I've played that many multiplayer games. I played a shit ton of fighting games, but I guess that classifies as a multiplayer experience. But like nothing really truly groundbreaking. Maybe Mario Party 3. Oh, this is the original. This is the original Mario Party, I think. Yeah, it is. And Mario Party has always been my cop out uh game for multiplayer experiences for a lot of these game of the years. And I think it might be another cop out once again. I could also give it to Marvel vs. Capcom, the original one, but I kind of want to give that the best soundtrack. We'll see. Because the soundtrack for that game is phenomenal too. I'll give it to Mario Party for now. I mean, it's Mario Party. I think everyone knows what Mario Party is. It's just a really fun party game that you can play solo or with friends and just ruin friendships through it. The series has gone a long way since then. But like this Mario Party in particular is the one where it gives you like all the attire, I believe. And I think they stopped doing that after 3 because every map has a theme, and depending on the map, your attire changes to reflect the map that you're playing in. I think, or maybe that's just 3. Yeah, you know what? That might be just 3 actually. Never mind. I take it back. I could have sworn it was a thing from the very beginning, but I guess not. Or am I tripping? Am I like, or was that just 2? Oh, it might have been just 2, actually. That's so weird. Tony implement this thing, um, this design choice for one game only and never again. Because it's such a cool little detail. Oh, this fucking mini game. It's so weird that they only did it for one game and never again. But yeah, Mario Party. It's my cop out multiplayer game as per usual. Um, let's do soundtrack. Hmm. Oh, this is gonna be rough, I think. I want to nominate a lot of these games for a lot of things. I'm probably gonna be a very like basic bitch and just say Marvel versus Capcom 2, because the soundtrack for that game is really good. For like every installment for that series has phenomenal OST. Marvel versus Capcom 1 OST. Like, listen to this shit. You go to the arcades, you walk in and you hear this, you know you're in for a good time. Hell yeah. I remember my first exposure to Marvel vs. Capcom, which is okay. So my first Marvel versus Capcom game was 2 on the PS2. That was my first exposure to this series. But I did eventually come across an arcade cabinet of the original Marvel vs. Capcom 1. And it was like in the weirdest location too. It was on a like metro bus stop, but like the ones that take you uh across the state, not the ones that just take you around the city. It's like the one that you go across the state. And there was basically like a waiting lobby lounge that you can like stay in, either for you to wait for your bus to arrive, or for a bus to arrive for a friend, or like you're waiting for someone or you're waiting for the bus. And they had a arcade cabinet for this game. And I remember just like waiting for my brother to come back from our hometown to visit us. And I was just like waiting and playing this consistently throughout the night. And it was like dead in the night too, because we would usually go there to pick him up during like past midnight, and I would just play this throughout the night, just waiting for him to arrive. So I'm very fond of this game for a lot of reasons, not just for the music itself. And I think I am gonna give it the best soundtrack because just well, Banjo-Kazooie has a lot of cool soundtracks as well. Fuck, hold up. King of Fighters has a lot of cool soundtrack as well. So let's Toho. Toho's notoriously known for having good music. There's just a lot of games here that has like amazing music. But I just don't know. I think my heart is leaning towards Marvel versus Capcom, but I can't. Oh, again, this is all subject to change. My plan is that I'm gonna do like the event started off today, and it's gonna end like in 18 days. I'm gonna come back at the last day. I'm also gonna play a bunch of more 1998 games throughout the course of the event, and I'm gonna see what lies where. Like this is all subject to change on my part. Let's try gameplay. This is a hard one because I wish there was one dedicated for like the level designing specifically, because that would have been an easy W for Half-Life. But there isn't. I think gameplay consists of like I like Half-Life. I respect Half-Life. Well, like is a strong word. I respect it, but I don't really enjoy playing it all that much. I really admire how, like a lot of first-person games, you can see Half-Life's DNA integrated into a lot of games to this day, and not just because I respect it because of his legacy status, but also because when I played it, I realized that Half-Life, like shooting shooting games up to this point were just like very typical arcadey shooting games where you just ram through enemies because that's like the cool thing to do. The game gives you like a horde of enemies to shoot and blast through them to feed into this like power fantasy design. Half-Life isn't necessarily that. Half-Life is like the polar opposite of a power fantasy. You feel very vulnerable, you feel very weak, you feel just like the average person. And it's up to you. And like the way how the game's designed, uh through his levels, how you can like basically flank enemies because the way that the levels are designed is that they are not necessarily labyrinths, but they loop around. And in theory, you can like loop around certain sections, flank enemies from the backside, and just kill them off one by one, which is like really interesting. There is like the sense of freedom of choice that the player is given to tackle situations at any certain way, which I thought was really cool and interesting. It's not linear. It's very like, well, it's not like free reign either. There's limitations to this design, but for a game from the 1990s, the fact that they give you a sense of freedom to tackle certain enemy hordes is really cool and interesting. And like that's not to say like also the narrative of Half-Life is really intriguing. Like think of, okay, let me pause this real quick. Let's put up like the first few minutes of Half-Life. And how it just like tells you everything you need to know about the game within like the first couple of seconds. So like you are going to work in this gondola, right? And the gondola is just by itself. Typically, you will imagine people to be here, being surrounded by a bunch of other coworkers trying to get to work just as you, but there isn't anyone. And like, granted, this could be just like a limitation, like hardware limitation, which I highly doubt, purely because this game is just jam-packed with small little details. I think the impression that they're trying to give you is that you're this like very important figure in the company, and you are like not necessarily the head honcho, but you're very essential figure in the company, and therefore you have like this private gondola, well, private-ish, where there's no one around, and even like how like the guards greet you. Well, I guess scratch that. You're running late. You're not important. Never mind. Scratch everything I just said. You're no one. You're just running late. But even then, like the way that they address you, it gives you this air of like they have the sense of respect. They open up your gondola. They open up the gate for you. And granted, this could be just this guy's sole purpose is to let people in and out. But like even then,
Hey, Mr. Freeman. I had a bunch of messages for you, but we had a system crash about 20 minutes ago, and I'm still trying to find my files. Just one of those days, I guess. They were having some problems down in the test chamber, too, but I think that's all straightened out. They told me to make sure you headed down there as soon as you got into your hazard suit.
yeah, like they just give you a rundown on what's happening because again, you're this very important figure. You have things to do, you have things to attend to, and people need to keep you up to date because of those reasons. And then like the fact it's like also the visual storytelling that you, let me just find it. If I can just find, okay, here. The fact that you are surrounded by all these professors and scientists and soldiers, and they all have their own designated lockers for their for their things. You also have one, obviously. There's one called Freeman, I believe, in this one area. However, the thing that differentiates you is right there. Actually, you saw it. You have your own locker right here. However, the thing that differentiates you from the rest of your coworkers is that not only do you have your own locker, but you also have your own designated little area for your suit. This like whole little corner of the building dedicated to just your suit. And that tells me that holy shit, you're this important figure to the point that they're willing to build this one little like uh tube for your armor. Like yeah, the game does a really phenomenal job of storytelling without telling you things straight up. It just does it purely on visuals. And that's just like that's really impressive, you know? At least to me. But yeah, I respect Half-Life. I just don't like playing it. And that's less because I don't typically like playing shooting games. Shooting games and me just don't vibe that well for the most part. It's just something that I could never get. I'm not sure what it is. I just don't like playing shooting games for the most part. And unfortunately, Half Life falls into that pit where I couldn't finish it. I got halfway into Half Life until I decided to just kind of drop it. But even then, like the time that I had with it, I still appreciated because it's like an important game in gaming history, and I appreciate the game that it is. I just don't, yeah, I just don't like playing it. Oh boy. So that being said, definitely not Half Life. I kind of want to give it to one of the Toho games, but the thing is that Toho during this time period, it was still going through it was still trying to figure itself out. Here in the community, we like to differentiate Toho 1 through 5 as the Windows 98 era. No, I mean, sorry, not Windows 98, just that PC 98 era, where there's this clear tonal shift between Toho 1 through 5 and Toho 6 onward, where 1 through 5 is the PC 98 era, and they're a bit rougher around the edges. But the DNA of like modern Toho is there. It's just not refined to the point where to the point where we start to love and appreciate Toho to what it is now. And like I did enjoy playing my time with the Toho games from the 98 era, but not to the same level that I did with the Windows PC era, obviously. Oh man, this is rough. I kind of want to I kind of want to give it to Baroque because there's this with Baroque, there's this like cool flow state of you trying to like every run, you know, trying to figure out what what your arsenal is, what your best items is, what you keep and what you discard, and how you utilize certain things, and how your build changes based on the run that you're going. Like sometimes you can go for a run where you're just doing insane amount of like lightning damage, or you do an insane amount of poison damage, or you have a build where you have a better chance of doing double damage by getting hit yourself. So you have like this glass cannon build, and like every run is unique. And it could in good old rogue like fashion, it can either go to shit away, or you can have like the most godlike run right off the bat. And you're never gonna know which is which until you get there. It's tough because there's a lot of tools in Baroque that allow you to just get weird and experimental. And it's not just like acquiring a set of a tool for you to use for your gear, like the fact that you can use certain items that typically that you will use as as an equipment. You can throw it at an enemy, and the like status effects that those that those equipments or items could have given you, you use it towards the enemy that you thrown the item at. So it's like this weird strategy where you're constantly put in position on either should I use this item for myself when I'm like vulnerable or I need a quick boost in something, or should I use this on an enemy that is like causing me trouble, and by doing so would just kind of get them off my ass. Like for example, like let's say you find an item that allows you to teleport randomly in any location in the map. So when you use it, you get teleported literally anywhere in the location, but randomly. So you don't know where you're gonna land. So it's a high risk, high reward sort of deal. Well, not even a high risk, high reward. It's just a risk thing because you can either land in a location where there's no enemies around you, or you can land in a location where there's enemies surrounding you and you're just dead. But if you use this at the right time, for example, like let's say you're being chased down by enemies and you ended up throwing this item at the nearest enemy, that enemy is now gets teleported across the map somewhere randomly far away from you, giving you the opportunity to get away to survive another encounter. So it's like stuff like that, you know, stuff like that that makes you just kind of like it makes the runs very interesting and fun. I really like how Baroque plays. It's a really addicting game for sure. But there's also a lot of things about it that really annoy me, and that's more so because it's a fucking roguelike, and roguelikes, same thing with shooting games, roguelikes for me, it's either hit or miss, more often misses than actual hits. Baroque is like this weird in between because I do enjoy it. I love the aesthetic, I love the music, I love the gameplay, and I love just exploring the ruins in that world. And like also like learning how the game worked in the first couple hours was really exciting to me at least. But then you have stuff like Banjo-Kazooie, arguably one of the better like 3D platformers of this time period. I'm more of a Mario 64 kind of guy. I like 64 more than I do Banjo-Kazooie just because of its mobility and insane like flexibility, player expression flexibility. But like Banjo-Kazooie is also like up there for like amazing 3D platformers because the way that the game works is less so like Mario 64 is designed around Mario's movements and how the player utilizes Mario as a tool, whereas Banjo-Kazooie is more so designed for you to learn power-ups and see which power-ups does what in each world. It's almost like a Metroidvania in a sense. Like it has a lot of Metroidvania elements where there's certain things in each world that you're not going to be able to interact until you discover the proper power-up ability for you to progress. So that kind of incentivizes you to return to previous locations and explore even further with newfound abilities you found in different areas. And I think that's a really cool way of designing a 3D platformer. I Man, this is hard. This is a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. I I my heart is saying Baroque, but I think logically Banjo-Kazooie is the better game. Fuck, man. I think I'm gonna go for Baroque. Because Baroque can give you dozens of hours of endless fun and like endless possibilities. Banjo-Kazooie has one really well refined game, but ultimately it ends. But Rogue in theory can go on indefinitely, you know? And there's just so much to Baroque as well. So many little secrets and design choices and little like tidbits that even I've only played like 10 hours of Baroque. And that's like nothing. to and I've barely scratched the surface to Baroque, I feel. Because there's also like a bunch of NPCs around the world of Baroque where you can just interact with them and see what they and it's like the game is designed in a very obtuse way, and some people may find that really annoying, really obnoxious. Me personally, like I don't mind it. I like the feeling of being lost and being confused and slowly figuring out things and how things work. That's typically how I like games to be designed. And Baroque is like the perfect encapsulation of that. And there's so many like NPCs as well that you can meet, and they're very like cryptic as well in what they're trying to convey to you. But essentially, how it works is that certain NPCs require you to give them certain items, and that will basically progress you to down an NPC quest line. I believe. Again, I wouldn't play like 10 hours of this game, and I've not gotten that far into it, unfortunately. But even then, just like thinking about it makes me want to like go back and revisit Baroque and try to go even further into the dungeon. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Baroque. I think Baroque deserves gameplay category in my opinion. It's just a really phenomenally designed game with so much thought and care put into it. Now, narrative. I feel like I haven't played enough narrative heavy games during this year. So it's hard to say. Like I played a bit of Metal Gear, and I know Metal Gear is constantly revered as like the best story game in the PS1 library for a lot of people, and that can be said for a lot of the Metal Gear games as well. I unfortunately have not played Metal Gear 1 enough to get to that point. Um, Nor have I played any of the other Metal Gears with the exception of Metal Gear Rising, and that's it. So I can't really say. So I wish I had time to play a certain game, because I know for a fact this game in particular, I would have easily put it under narrative category. And that game in question is Gears. Gears is the predecessor to what eventually turned out to be Saga, which then in turn eventually turned into Xenoblade. Xenoblade, for those who are unaware, is my favorite game of all time. It is the game that what is this? Oh, thank you. I regard as my favorite game of all time, and it has been my favorite game of all time for a very, very long time. I've been told that the story of Xenoblade 1 in specifically, is a lot more tamed in comparison to that of Xenogears. Xenogears goes a lot deeper into like the themes of Gnosticism. It has more biblical references as well, I believe, which are two things that I completely adore. Unfortunately, I have not played Xenogears, but I know for a fact when I come around to playing this game once and for all, I know for a fact that this game would easily be like one of my favorite narrative experiences on the PS1, hands down. Just because of I'm that confident, just because of how much I love Xenoblade. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and Xenogears is not going to be part of this game of the year, which hurts me a lot because I know I would have loved it so much. You know what? I'm starting to second guess myself a tiny bit with the soundtrack. I got reminded that Sonic Adventure 1 is still in this category for me. And there's a lot of songs in Sonic Adventure 1 that I adore. You know what? Narrative can wait. I'm gonna whip out some Sonic Adventure OST real quick. Like this game, man. Like open your heart. Such a good banger, like vocal track as well. If I'm not if I remember correctly, I think this was like Sonic's first time using vocal tracks. No, that's not true. That's not true because Sonic R had vocal tracks as well. Never mind. No, forget what I'm saying. Forget what I just said. That's a lie. But like, oh man, open your heart and then like the station square as well, and like the ruins as well. I just listen to the just listen to that like electronic music. I think is the best way to describe it. Like like even if you have never played like any of the if you've never played Sonic Adventure 1, you can still tell like this boss battle theme has this like liquidy, watery feel to it, you know? And it has this like drippy vibe to it that I can't describe, which is very fitting because the theme is for Chaos, who is this like this water blob boss fight. And the fact that they managed to convey that with just like sound effects and instruments is like really cool in my opinion. Where are the ruins? I want to hear the ruins is what I want to hear. How the hell are the ruins not here? You would think it would have been like one of the top ones. Or did I just miss it? Let's try a different soundtrack. This one. Same thing. So weird. Oh my god. Theme of Chow. Oh, here it is. Why is it so low? This thing. So a little story. Um, I used to roam around this one location a lot as a kid because I would just be lost consistently. And for whatever reason, like exploring the ruins to me was one of my favorite parts of this game. Just getting lost in in the little like forest area when you go down the track mine or going to the Master Emerald that's on Angel Island, I believe it's called. And just like all these little locations that are within the ruins that I don't think any other location in the game had. I think to me the ruins, like when people think of Sonic Adventure, people think of like the city, and that's perfectly fine because it's like your starting point. But to me, the ruins is what Sonic Adventure is. Just all these little like areas, these micro locations within the location itself. And the, like you have like little hut in the middle of the forest. You have the pyramids. You have Knuckles gloves you can find in one of the locations, and just like tells like a house as well. There's just so many little locations in this place that I spend so much time just exploring it and getting lost. To the point that my mom, when I was a kid, she would tell me like, "My God, dude, you spend so much time in this one area that at night, I shit you not, that I'm like dreaming about this soundtrack at night." I mean, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. She didn't say word for word like that, but I don't know. Um, um, Sonic OST specifically for this game, it has a very strong spot in my heart. It has a very special spot in my heart, and I think it's for that reason that I think I have to give it best OST. I'm sorry, Marvel versus Capcom. You are a phenomenal game with amazing music, but Sonic Adventure 1 just I can't. Oh, whoops. Yeah, that's more fitting, I think. Now for narrative and game of the year. I Oh man. I wish Xenogears was here. That would have been an easy narrative pick for me. I think this might be a cop out because again, I haven't finished Half-Life. But as I stated earlier, Half-Life has a really cool way of establishing characters and establishing like giving you context for what's happening without telling you straight up, just purely with its visual environmental storytelling. And I think it's really impressive. It may not be, but then man, fuck. Uh Again, this is subject to change. There's a good chance that Parasite Eve, once I get around to finishing that, might end up in narrative because this game is like wordy, is story heavy, which I was caught off guard by. For now, I think I think I'm gonna give it to Half-Life for now. Even though this is slightly a cop out because I have not finished it, so I don't even know how the game ends. Like I don't even know how the story ends. So fuck. Let me have a little look. You know what? Let me do this real quick and go back here. I'm kind of curious to see what other people have picked for their things. Yeah, I agree with that soundtrack. Hell yeah, buddy. Narrative, Resident Evil 2? Nah, I don't think so. Wait, how come Resident Evil 2 isn't on mine? That's weird. Yeah, Gears makes perfect sense. Metal Gear makes perfect sense as well. Suikoden, it's another one I have not played. The Game of Life. Oh, for best multiplayer? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of like that's hard. Half-Life has not been nominated for narrative by a lot of these people, which I understand because it's not a story heavy game is the thing. People remember Half-Life for its level design than anything else in its environments. But to me, narrative is not just like the story that the game is telling you pure via its words or text. It's also like the story is telling you via its environments. It's the journey that you go through as a player. And Half-Life does like a really good job in just bringing you into its world. Again, subject to change. I'll keep it as a placeholder for now because I don't see any other game that could take that spot for me. And lastly, to no one's surprise, the game that a lot of people consider the best game of all time, the number one game in gaming history, the game that revolutionized gaming with a single technique called targeting. Of course, that is none other than Ocarina of Time. For me, Game of the Year is not just like the game of the year, but also the game that encapsulates every other nomination within the within the event. Ocarina of Time for me has some of the best gameplay, some of the best narrative, some of the best art direction, some of the best soundtrack. Maybe not the best multiplayer because there's no such thing, but it does all these things phenomenally. It's designed Ocarina of Time was so revolutionary that to this day we still utilize mechanics that was created like fucking what 20 almost 30 years ago at this point. Like seed targeting was just this revolutionary thing that we use in games like Dark Souls or like the Soulsborne games. Soulsborne wouldn't be a thing without Ocarina of Time existing. Skyrim wouldn't have been a thing without Ocarina of Time, or maybe not Ocarina of Time, but Zelda as a whole. It inspired a lot of games moving forward, and again, legacy status to me means absolutely nothing. I don't care about games' legacy status, and even ignoring them, even ignoring its legacy, Ocarina of Time still stands strongly on its own. It's a game that you can, like in theory, like the way that the game is designed, and this is something that I like barely found out years after I initially played Ocarina of Time as a kid. But apparently you can tackle, in theory, you can tackle certain dungeons out of order. For example, let's say you tackle the forest temple uh first, and you acquire the bow, which is a requirement for different dungeons. You could, in theory, leave that dungeon without finishing it, go to a dungeon that requires you to have minimum the bow and arrow. I think like the water dungeon requires bow and arrow because you need the bow to shoot the sun to give you fire arrows, if I'm not mistaken, which allows you to burn melt off ice that are like in your way. So in theory, you could like start off the forest temple, get the bow and arrows, get out of there, go to the water temple, do that, get the hook shot, leave that, go to the spirit temple because the spirit temple requires you to have like a hook shot at the very bare minimum, and like just do temples out of order and out of sequence. And like the fact that like the game's designed that way because the original Zelda game on the NES is designed exactly like that is really cool. But like the fact that it took so many years for us to realize this, because I imagine like me, a lot of people played the game in a very linear fashion. They did the first starting temples as young Link, and then they did the following temples in order. They did the forest temple first. They did the fire temple second, the water temple third, and then etc. moving forward. That's typically how most players tackle Ocarina of Time, but it's designed in a way that allows a player to have freedom of expression. Meaning, if you don't want to deal with the forest temple for whatever reason, you can just fuck out of there and just do something else entirely. You know? It's just like also like not it's now only because the fact that you can tackle temples out of order, but like also all the little things you can do in that game. Like every corner of this world is just filled with wonder and mystery. And granted, nowadays it may feel like a bare wasteland of like grass fields of nothing and enemies for today's standard, but back then that was revolutionary. It was something to be amazed. This like giant land field for you to run around and explore was, you know, cool. And like Hyrule Field doesn't really doesn't really offer much nowadays because realistically it's just a little hub for you to go to different locations, and that's essentially the central area that leads you to different locations. But back then you didn't know that. You didn't know that once you left the Kokiri forest, you had to go straight to the castle where the bridge is located. You could have just like wander off and just explore the field for what it was, and that's exactly what I did as a kid. I didn't know jack shit of what I was doing in that game. I was just exploring, and that to me was exciting and fun. And then, like on top of that, on top of also being a really phenomenally designed game, it's also a really thought-provoking story. It has a really strong narrative as well. Like the simple fact of like it plays into like childhood and adulthood and how that in the themes of how that plays into how you perceive the world. Like when you play the game as young Link, as child Link, the world is this happy-go-lucky, shiny, bright place where nothing could go wrong. Like think of like Hyrule Marketplace, where when you're in child state, you are greeted by this place, this plaza that's filled with people just dancing, laughing, celebrating, and just like mingling and socializing. And it's just everything is all well and kept and perfect and nice. And then when you like travel to the future as adult Link, 7 years into the future, this same plaza, this same market becomes a destroyed wasteland filled with nothing but re-deads. And it's like, and thematically, it's meant to convey that when you become an adult, life stops being this bright-eyed, shiny, happy place. It becomes a lot scarier. It becomes a lot more dreadful. It becomes a lot more stressful. And Ocarina of Time conveys these feelings of adulthood so perfectly in a way that most games in this time period never did. Like its gameplay is part of the narrative, you know, and I think that's really cool that they integrated gameplay into the narrative. Yeah, Ocarina of Time is just a really cool, amazing game. It's not my personal favorite Zelda game. My personal favorite Zelda game is Majora's Mask, as you can see here on this list. Let me just remove this. Majora's Mask stands as my seventh favorite game of all time. And I tried my best to not include Ocarina of Time here because I feel like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask is they're two sides of the same coin essentially. They're too similar. They're too similar in a lot of ways, but also very different in other ways. I just vastly prefer Majora's Mask for reasons that I will delve into in a future stream, I believe. That being said, I adore Ocarina of Time. I respect it. It's to this day is still a phenomenal game. Um, he, my buddy of mine, my good friend, where are you? Oh here, here you are. I know you put it as best gameplay, but we have to sit you down and get you on your first like Zelda journey because this man has not played a single Zelda game, which I don't blame him. Uh, I want him to play Ocarina of Time sometime soon. Maybe not as his first Zelda exposure. I think Zelda is a lot more archaic in many ways compared to the more modern Zelda titles. I think the perfect starting point for the perfect first starting game for a lot of people, in my opinion, is Twilight Princess. I think Twilight Princess is like the perfect introduction to 3D Zelda specifically. If we're talking about 2D Zelda, that's a whole can of worms that I'm not gonna get into. But Twilight Princess to me is like the perfect entry point for for a lot of reasons, I think. But yeah, these are my picks so far. I don't feel great about these picks. And again, I am planning on playing more more games for this year as the event goes on. I have 13 days remaining. I still got plenty of time to do what I need to do. I want to play more. Maybe not I do. Fuck, man. I'm so fucking annoyed that I didn't play Xenogears when I had the chance. I want to give Xenogears a go, but this game is so fucking long, and I tend to get like really. Oh, hey T, see in the chat. I was going to put Sonic Adventure as top narrative as a joke. You say that, but like Sonic Adventure 1 has some dope ass storytelling regardless, you know? Um, where is my thing? Where is my thing? Did I lose it? I hear this. Also, T, now that you're here, buddy, we gotta get you into like playing Zelda. I'm not sure if you just heard what I just on my rants that I was going through, but like we gotta get you into some Zelda because I saw that you put Ocarina of Time as your gameplay, even though you've never played a Zelda game. But we gotta get you into. It does, but I prefer Grand Fandango. Simple, but incredibly strong. That is true. Yeah, that's a good point. Wait, oh, but wait, you put Resident Evil 2 as your narrative though, which is interesting. I think Resident Evil 2 is a cool story, but nowhere near as strong. Like the emotional impact that Sonic Adventure 1 had on me is something to behold. Like that first time when you saw Supersonic turn when Sonic turned into Supersonic and you see like the model, like the first iteration of the 3D model of that form, seeing that as a kid was like mind-boggling, you know? It sent like chills down my spine. Fire Princess is on the challenge list. I'm aware. Uh yeah, cause like I said earlier, I highly recommend Twilight Princess as like your first exposure to Zelda for reasons that I will like get into once you get around to playing that game. Wait, is it still on your challenge? I thought you removed it. Oh no, it's still here. Yeah, it is still here. Cool, cool. I can't wait for you to play this. It was the genesis of Banana Sonic. Nah, 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 nah. We don't talk about Banana Sonic here in this stream. I love. Let me actually whip out the Banana Sonic for the stream to see. Good thing you pinned it not too long ago. Um, Let me save this. Put it on downloads. I'm still trying to figure out how to like put images on OBS faster. I'm not the fastest person when it comes to this quite yet. Downloads. Here it is. Look at this. Fellas, this right here is peak OC Sonic creation. For context, I created this when I was like 10 years old, and my fucking pride and joy being Banana Sonic is right here. uh yeah, I was really into like sprite OC Sonic creation. I also have one for Pokemon. There's one where when I created this, there was a whole thing for Pokemon Sprite Fusion, which funnily enough, it became a whole thing nowadays because there's a whole website dedicated to fusing Pokemon sprites. But to me, I was doing that. I was like doing that way before that website was even a thing, and that eventually led me to creating my own Sonic OC characters. I say OC in the most loosest sense. Some of these are just like iterations of other forms in the lore, but one of them being my pride and joy, Banana Sonic. Look at him. Look at him. It's beautiful. One of these days, I need to like recreate that image. Banana Sonic is peak Sonic OC. I agree. He is. He is. But yeah. As I stated before, a lot of these things are subject to change. I feel like Half-Life might change because, as I stated earlier on the stream, it's not a game that I finished. I respect it a lot, and the way that it tells its narrative purely through environmental storytelling is really fucking cool. But I need to play. I think Parasite Eve, once I get around to finishing that, might take the throne just purely because it's a game that's very wordy, considering that it's a game made by Square Enix. But aside from that, I can't think of any other game. Maybe Metal Gear, but I'm not in the mood to play Metal Gear because that game is very stressful. Um, I can't think of any other game that could take the throne for best narrative. If I'm gonna be so honest. Aside from Xenogears being the obvious choice, which I have not played, which I'm fucking annoyed that I have not played it thus far, and I don't think 15 days is enough time for me to wrap up Xenogears in 13 days, I should be saying. It's just not enough time, unfortunately. But yeah, I feel kind of content. I will return to this list back once the timer ends on the when does this drop? 7 on the 5th of April of May, I mean? Maybe? Cinco de Mayo? No way. Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, I'm probably gonna come back. I'm gonna try to play more games from this time period using my list that I created somewhere. Where is it? I need to start closing some of these tabs. Right here. I do want to I'm probably gonna try to give LCD a go because I know the art direction for this game is really cool too. Paranoia Escape is just kind of there as the placeholder. It could change, but even then, depending how I feel about LCD Dream Emulator, it might challenge it because Paranoia Escape does have a really cool design to it that I don't see often in games during this time period. It's just like a weird, like experimental thing, that you don't see often. I mean, at least during this, era, at least. I feel like it's a lot more common nowadays. I want to give Shadow Tower a go as well. This was one of the games that was made from Software that a lot of people are not familiar with. It's like a first-person like horror exploration game. It's really cool. If you're watching, which I know you still are, because you're like the only person here, if you get the chance to give this game a go, it looks really interesting. I have not played it myself, but I've had my eyes on it for a very, very long time. Another game that I want to give a go is Rakuga Kids. This is a game on the N64, exclusively in Japan only. It's a 2D fighter, but it has like a style. It has like this really hand-drawn, cartoony style that you don't typically see in fighting games of this era. Wait, what's it called again? Rakuga Kids N64 gameplay. And I just want to give this game a go. This might also be a strong contender for art direction, if I'm gonna be real, just because I'm so I just love like wacky cartoony styles. Like it's very like rapper. Jesus, it's very Parappa the Rapper uh esque. Not really. Like look how smooth those motions are. It's really cool. That's a strong contender for our direction as well. Lane could also be a strong contender for narrative because the anime is like is among my top 10 anime of all time. Damn, better gameplay than Tekken. You take that back. How dare you? Tekken is great. What are you talking about? This is the man with zero experience playing Tekken. What else? Dragoon could also be a good contender for gameplay. It's like an on-rail shooting game with a dragon. It looks really interesting, but maybe not. What's my gameplay one again? Baroque. Yeah, definitely not. Baroque is just it's just too addicting. I think that's it. I can't think of any other game that could like challenge the ones that I have currently. I'm gonna try to finish Parasite Eve sometime soon. Just because I want to give Xenogears a shot before this shit ends. I'm even kind of tempted to just put Xenogears here because I know for a fact that Xenogears is a game that's gonna blow me away in every shape and form. But I kind of don't want to do that just to be safe. I say that as if it's gonna disappoint me, which I know for a fact it's not. This is music. Change it. Up the music audios sounds good. But yeah, that's about it. I've been streaming for an hour now, an hour and some. I think I'm gonna call it now. T, you're still in the chat. You wanna do something? You wanna finish up Resident Evil by any chance? I'm just gonna stay in silence to see how you respond. Oh man, talking to yourself for a whole ass hour is very tiring. I'm just worried that the music audio was too loud or too low. You say yes. All right, I'm gonna end the stream now. I'll prepare on the other. I'm gonna prepare. Music could be a touch higher. Well, kind of late for that now, because I'm ending the stream. But thanks for your input, anyways. But yeah, thanks for watching. This has been an interesting little stream. I'm planning on doing this again when the event ends. Just see how things change and how things get shifted around. I'm gonna end the stream now because I need some rest. Bye bye.